Hey guys, it's TJ, and I've been checking out the new Realm of the Wood Elves DLC for Total War Warhammer. We do want to do a campaign replay, or sorry, campaign playthrough of this at some point, but DM has been unavailable, and we got our pre-release code kind of late, so we didn't actually end up having time to do it. So just to have something up Wood Elf related today, I did some custom battles to show you guys. It's kind of ridiculous, but the basic theme here is I wanted to do kind of like a nature versus technology thing, so I did a relatively small army, given the funds that were available to me, of just super elite Wood Elf units, made up more or less entirely of Way Watchers, which are the most elite Wood Elf archers, and we're playing on the Oak of Ages, which is their main defensive map, against basically a ultra-industrial Empire army here. I'll go ahead and scroll through and kind of show you what we've got going on. It looks like the first volley has already been fired. Far be it from the Wood Elves to hold back on that. I think I gave them a little bit too much artillery, actually, in retrospect, in terms of artillery ratio to infantry, but we've got some cannons, we've got some Hellblaster volley guns. I gave them some of the Regiments of Renown as well that are available for the Empire, a whole bunch of handgunners. Basically, I wanted to do a couple steam tanks in here, too. I wanted to do, like, an equivalent of, like, I guess, Napoleonic sort of army, at least insofar as you can do that in the crazy fantasy world of Warhammer, against pretty much just archers, just an entirely archer-composed Wood Elf force. I've got my Glade Lord here. It's the ranged-focused Glade Lord. You can actually, one thing I like about the multiplayer roster for them is you can pick from a ranged-focused or a melee-focused Glade Lord without having to mess around with their abilities. I've also got a Way Watcher hero here who's going to buff the archers around him. And yeah, the interesting thing about Wood Elves, they don't get fortifications, so it's always open field battles, and then you have, on a map like this, they're ideal for them defensively because there's lots of cliffs and there's only a limited places where you can actually march troops through it. I wish it was a little more heavily forested. That would honestly be nice, especially since Wood Elf units get this. I don't know if it'll let me pull it up in replay view, but they do have a trait where they're faster and more accurate when they're in the woods. So let's go ahead and watch the carnage begin as this industrial Empire force tries to assault the hill here. We got the handgunners moving up. Wood Elves are already taking pot shots, pouring a lot of fire into these this front formation here, and they just mow down fools with these arrows. I've never seen an archer unit in any Total War game ever that is as effective at just whittling fools down as the high tier Wood Elf archers are. Of course, they're getting bombarded by heavy artillery quite relentlessly here. If you've ever want to see what the inside of an elf looks like, you will get plenty of opportunities to do so during this battle here. Handgunners also got a buff in this most recent patch, so you'll see them doing a little bit more damage. They're definitely getting some kills in here once they get into range. I think I actually outranged them with my Waystalkers. One thing I did kind of on a whim that ended up being really smart was keeping these guys out here, because they were definitely able to harass the left flank of the artillery, and I think they actually had a fairly significant impact in not getting us completely overwhelmed from this direction, basically. I won't tell you how this turned out. I will tell you it was very, very close. There was I could have definitely microed better, but yeah, there wasn't really a point where I felt like this was a foregone conclusion. I've got there's an Empire captain. I don't know if their general is dead yet. That's one thing I would definitely like to see the AI do a little better. Because I gave them all handgunners, they treated their general and their captain as kind of like, oh, well, I guess that's our melee line, and tried to just charge forward with them when, you know, maybe I should have given them, you know, a wizard or something, someone that they would be smart enough to keep in reserve, because that is not how a general in a Napoleonic army should fight. They're treating this like a pitched battle in the, you know, the Sword Age. Starting to get to the point where some of my units are running out of ammo here. They haven't routed yet, which is pretty amazing considering the punishment they've taken. I think there's only like, yeah, a dozen or so guys left in some of these units. They're still letting loose with arrow fire. These guys, for some reason, they keep trying to retake their cannons, which is not going super well for them because I moved this unit up onto this hill here, and then I realized they were out of ammo, so I just decided to go ahead and have them charge in. Which, yeah, Waystalkers they excel at range, but they're actually really good melee fighters too, especially against these artillery crews that they never stood a chance. They do their little Legolas double sword spin thing, which I gotta admit I am a fan of. And so at this point I started being like, alright, some of these units are out of ammo, they're just getting bombarded, they're just gonna sit up here and die. So I might as well... Did we just hit our own guys with an arrow volley there? Yeah, so I decided I might as well charge them down the hill and see what you know, kind of damage they can do in melee, which turns out against handgunners they're not that bad. They have significantly better melee stats than the handgunners do. If I was going to refight this battle as Empire, I would definitely give the Empire side slightly less artillery and a little bit more infantry. I think part of the reason they start to fold on this flank here is because just so much of their manpower is taken up by artillery crews that can't stand against any unit with any melee ability whatsoever. I don't know if my Waystalkers would have done so well on the charge if they had more handgunners taking pot shots at them. They might have just gotten wiped off the field pretty quick. My Glade Lord is, I believe, still alive somehow. I know she took a lot of damage later on in the battle. Yeah, so I'm going to start bringing in some more of these guys that are out of ammo to try to pick away at their artillery crews. We've taken just massive casualties at this point. This is, I think, the closest, yeah, here you can see the closest any Empire soldiers actually got to the hill. But then you can also just see the line of dead elves. It goes kind of all the way across the ridgeline. I love this game. How cool is it that we have a game like this where we can just have, like, elves versus rocket launchers? Like, full detail, huge battles. This is a very, very strong contender for my 2016 Game of the Year, which, by the way, keep an eye on Loresworn.com because 2016 Game of the Year posts are going to be going up soon. This guy looks like he's like he should be cooking in a kitchen somewhere, not out on a battlefield. He's got like a chef's hat or something. So yeah, at this point, I think I was fairly sure I was going to win. I brought up some of my reserves since I didn't feel like this flank was really in danger anymore. And we kind of just rushed in and made short work of their artillery crews in melee. They do have a couple handgunner units left, but yeah, I think the major flaw with this army composition is I just gave them way too much artillery and not enough infantry. I mean, these are both gimmick armies to begin with, but I think if I had tweaked the ratio, maybe done like 2 of each artillery piece instead of 4, and maybe like 4 bombards instead of 6, and just filled that in with some extra infantry, some extra handgunners, that would have been a little bit more of a fair fight. But man, we took a lot of losses here. They're bringing in their second steam tank. He's gonna get, I remember he gets a nice shot off on my routing forces here. Waiting for the turret to turn, yeah. Boom! So yeah, it's definitely not a pretty victory here. We shoot enough arrows at it, it'll eventually die. I like that you can actually see him bouncing off the armor. That's pretty cool. So I think my melee charge had been rebuffed at this point. So I was actually thinking, oh, maybe they'll pull this off. But yeah, ultimately they just didn't have enough infantry. And the AI doesn't really seem to know what to... I could have probably won if this battle was flipped. The AI seems to have a hard time figuring out what to do if you don't give them shock infantry or if you don't give them cavalry. Like with a kind of a gimmick army like this, they don't really seem. I'm on hard battle AI for this, I believe. And yeah, they just don't really seem to know what to do with this kind of ridiculous army. But I love the the thematic idea of this battle, where it's you know, the defenders of nature against the industrial machine. And I actually have a second one I'm going to show you after this is over, where I did something similar with a different faction. So we'll load that up. Is this the okay? That's the Hammer of the Witches. I'm curious to look back through and see what happened to the Free Company Militia, which is the skirmisher regiment of renown that the Empire got, because I know I had them in here. They must have just gotten picked off by archer fire super early, because I don't remember seeing them causing trouble. If they were going to use any unit to break through on the hill, I would have sent in the Free Company and then, you know, some steam tanks to draw fire. Probably punched through... probably punched through here and gone for the Glade Lord, is what I would have done if I were playing Empire in this scenario. It was definitely a winnable battle for Empire, even though they were like a 60% artillery army or something like that. Got the cleanup crew coming in. These guys are still fighting, which is pretty amazing. They have no infantry support, and they're still manning the Hellfire batteries right up until the moment they get overrun. So yeah, we defended the Glade that time. Was abandoned artillery pointing the wrong way. So we defended the Glade, but at a great cost. We lost 836 out of our 1,082 troops. Overall, we were outnumbered about 2 to 1. If I had cut out some of this artillery for more handgunners, we probably would have been even more outnumbered than that. Trying to see... Oh, yeah, okay, this was not... I had a different custom battle I did where I had one unit of Way Watchers that had like 486 kills or something, but it wasn't this battle. Empire also lost a good, 60-70% of their forces. Yeah, Pyrrhic victory indeed. So I did the same setup this time with Dwarfs. Where it was the same idea. It was like an industrial army. I gave them a couple of gyrocopters, cut down on the artillery, and composed their army mostly out of Thunderers, which is their musket unit, with a couple of master engineers and Belegar, which again I probably should have picked a hero or a lord that they weren't gonna just charge forward heedlessly. But this one was a little different. Let's see how it goes. Exact same army on the Elven side. I think I tweaked their placement a little bit because the way that the dwarves deployed, they focused a lot more of their reserves on this side of the field here. So I had to kind of adjust my placement where I was like, I'm gonna kind of let this flank go. Like if I have to let something go. I also didn't have my little vanguard harassment unit here because I felt like with this battle line they were just gonna get torn apart. Interesting deployment for the AI dwarves here, actually. And once again, these gimmick battles, I definitely could have microed them better. I just more kind of wanted to see if I set it and forget it, like what is, who's going to come out on top. Take a look at this dwarven army here while we're, so yeah, I think I gave him like two units of organ guns, 2 units of cannons. Or did I do 3 and 3 maybe? I don't know. It's mostly Thunderers with artillery support. The other thing about Thunderers versus Handgunners is Thunderers are much better in melee than Handgunners are. A little bit of a grudge match here, for sure, Dwarves versus Elves. They also, I think, have better armor, because they were... While they were still getting torn apart by the Way Watchers, they at least held up a little better to the sustained arrow fire. They do have shields, which definitely makes a big difference. Gun infantry with shield is a pretty dangerous combination. I really love Thunderers. They're probably one of my favorite dwarf units. This was pretty smart over here, setting up this organ gun battery on the hill here so they can outrange our Way Watchers. Which is hard to do. Way Watchers have really crazy range. We're routing some of their units, but they do have a massive numbers advantage in this battle. Yeah, I was bringing my Glade Lord out to see if I could snipe Belegar, because I could already tell that this was not going as smoothly as the previous battle. So I did. There's a Wood Elf general ability that basically roots a unit and makes them vulnerable to missile fire, and I was going to try to use that to see if I could snipe their general. But man, he has a lot of health. Again, I could have been focus firing more, but... Yeah, like, these guys ran out of ammo at a really bad time, and what I should have done is I should have brought these guys forward to snipe Belegar instead of having them just continue to pick off Thunderer units. Yeah, and at this point, yeah, their artillery is... It's set up in almost like pincer, where they're gonna... And here comes the charge. It's not gonna go nearly as well as it did against the Empire, because... Again, they have more infantry than the Empire army I just fought did, and more of it is made up of Thunderers, and Thunderers are much better in melee than handgunners or artillery crews. You do have the height advantage, which in fencing would be significant factor. I don't know how significant it is in Warhammer. Actually, Bellegarde's like a super dwarf. He's almost as tall as my Way Watchers are. He's a giant dwarf. It's like jumbo shrimp. Some kind of contradiction in there. Yeah, he held like a boss. If we had actually managed to kill Bellegarde, I think we would have been in better shape. So yeah, there's a lot of exchange of fire going on this flank now. But again, man, just the resilience, the ability of the Thunderers to soak up our arrow fire and make us, you know, run out of ammo, as opposed to those squishy Empire handgunners, made a pretty big difference. I was also going to see, yeah, at one point I shot down one of their gyrocopters. I think this is where that happened. Or maybe it just routed. It's like the super, yeah, Skyhammer gyro bomber that was trying to cause problems with my back line, and managed to rebuff that, but at this point it was... The writing was kind of on the wall, I think, in terms of... Did we actually end up killing Bellegarde? I don't think we did. I think he survived the battle. I also don't know that... yeah, because... Yeah, this is where I think we basically had a chain route start to happen. At this point. My Glade Lord did survive. But yeah, they just had total board control at this point, and everybody started to waver and fall back. So again, possibly winnable if I had microed better. But having having more infantry and having tougher infantry was definitely a major factor there. We actually took fewer losses that battle than we did against the Empire, but we didn't get even half as many kills against the Dwarves. So Thunderers, if you're annoyed by the potency of high-tier Wood Elf archers, Thunderers seem to be a pretty good counter for them, actually. Anyway, that's going to do it for this showcase battle. We definitely want to do more of these, so if you have an idea of, like, a crazy battle you'd like to see, or, you know, like a battle that you've wanted to do but it doesn't run particularly well on your computer that you'd like us to showcase, we'd love to do more crazy fantasy showcase battles like this in the future. So just let us know in the comments or whatever. Subscribe for more Warhammer stuff. We do definitely want to do a Wood Elf campaign playthrough. It's just a matter of getting our schedules to line up to where we can actually sit down and do it. And check us out at loresworn.com. 2016 Game of the Year stuff is going to start going up very soon. We are at Loresworn Order on Twitter, and I am at ASRAI. That is Alpha Sierra Alpha Tango Juliet. And we'll see you guys next time.